So, everyone is familiar with what a full time job is. It's 5 days a week, full day, usually around the hours of 9 to 5, or more like 7 to 3 if you're in certain trades. They're usually 8 hours each day. Some jobs are 8.5 hours or 9 hours, but they, in return, allow longer breaks. My current full time job is 8 hours with a 30-minute break. My first accounting job was 8.5 hours, but we had a 1 hour lunch break instead of 30 minutes. A full day at Woolworths is 9 hours, but you get a 1 hour lunch break and two 15-minute breaks. All lunch breaks are unpaid, of course, so it's about 7.5 paid hours per day. 38 paid hours per week, around 40 hours of work per week. However, there is 168 hours per week. Very odd how working 40 out of the 168 hours per week is considered full-time. But I'll one-up that. I work 7 days a week out of 7, as opposed to the full-time 5 out of 7. Now, obviously, it's a good thing full-time jobs allow you to actually have a break from work, but this grind train doesn't stop. The weekend for me is just an opportunity to work a little more. So, how is this possible? How do you work 7 days a week? Although there are numerous ways to work 7 days a week, the way I do it is, I have a degree that relates to your classic 9 to 5, Monday to Friday job. Then, I've kept my supermarket job. Over the years, some extra shifts have opened up. Having proven yourself at work, if there are good open shifts available, such as a Saturday 8 to 5, well, I mean, it used to be good, but no one wants it these days. But back in the day, it was a very popular shift amongst other staff. Then it would go to the best co-worker. I've managed to snag myself the full-day weekend shifts about 2 to 2.5 years ago. So with a full-time Monday to Friday job and a Woolies contract that locks me into weekends, I am officially part of the 7-day work week crew. With that said, why do I do this? Well, money, but let's go through the pros and cons. Although I do like this lifestyle and I wouldn't have it any other way, I must admit it isn't all sunshine and rainbows. I'm going to approach this primarily from the perspective of working weekends. Otherwise, it will come across as a pros and cons of working video, which, like, no matter how much you try and convince yourself that work is good or work is bad, most people don't have a choice in the matter. However, they do have a choice in working a second job. Pros of working an extra job. Obviously, number one is the extra money you make. By working these 2 extra days per week, I can make an extra $27,061.32 per year, based on 16 hours of pay, 8 hours at 25% for the Saturday penalty, and 6 hours at a 50% penalty for Sunday after 9 a.m, and 2 hours at 100% penalty for working 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on a Sunday, as my contract is 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on a Sunday. Obviously, this is before tax, and I'm not being taxed at the correct rate. I will owe a lot of money to the ATO, or I will pay a lot to the ATO as I go. In brief, with a second job, you can get taxed in 3 ways. 1, tax-free threshold. 2, no claim for the tax-free threshold. And 3, no tax file number declared. Tax-free threshold assumes that this is your only job, so your payslips are taxed based on the assumption that your first $18,200 should be tax-free. Obviously, since I have another job, my total taxable income for the end of the year is going to be way above this. Yet, my tax has been withheld at both jobs, assuming each job is my only source of income. The ATO will look at what your taxable income is. They'll calculate how much tax you should have paid based on the current tax tables, then how much you've actually paid. So, as I've claimed the tax-free threshold, I won't have paid as much in tax throughout the year. Hence, I'll owe a lot. But I prefer the extra cash flow. It allows me more liquidity to purchase crypto and stocks as I please, rather than waiting till I lodge my tax return for a massive influx of cash. If you don't claim tax-free threshold, your second job is taxed at 32.5%, depending on your total taxable income at the end of the financial year. You may get a lot of this money back. But I'd rather not grind all week, and then I don't see 32.5% of my weekend money. It's demotivating, and as I mentioned before, the extra cash flow is just better in my books. If you don't declare a tax file number to a job, they tend to withhold 47% as tax until you do. You'll get this back once you give them a tax file number and lodge your return, but it's not as good for morale seeing literally almost half your payslip go to the tax man. So yeah, it's extra money, good cash flow for other investments. I also get paid weekly at the supermarket job, whereas my 9 to 5 pays fortnightly. Having a paycheck each week is just so good. Yeah, the lump sum is nice each fortnight, but once again, cash flow is king. Another thing that's overlooked is resume experience. You learn various skills at another job, providing they're different. If you work at Coles and Woolies, or Macca's and KFC, the skills are likely very similar. And this extra resume credit can actually aid your professional career somewhat. It can show other employers/companies how you aren't just a one-trick pony, you can adapt to different working environments, you're a quick learner, you're a hard worker, etc. Another pro is the friends you make. Growing up in high school, a lot of the large friendship groups I knew about were formed due to them all working together. Now, usually these were Macca's employees. When I was at Woolies in high school, I never made a large group of friends the same way Macca's employees did. However, in 2019, my store had a massive group of about 20 of us who would all go out together, all have parties in the same house when someone was house sitting, we were all in the same group chat, etc. Now, we don't talk anymore purely because majority of them have now left the store, but it was fun while it lasted. But I'm sure if someone was to organise a reunion down the track, we would all be in attendance. Another pro is the exercise. Now, this is more specific towards jobs where you're on your feet all day. For me, my full-time job is in an office, thus barely any activity, meaning my non-exercise activity thermogenesis is quite low, meaning my caloric expenditure for the day is lower, meaning I can't eat as much food without getting into a calorie surplus, meaning it's easier for me to gain weight. For all you fellow gym rats out there and brothers of iron, you'll know what I'm on about. But if I'm on my feet all day, I'm using up more energy, I'm walking around, I'm using my arms to lift stuff, etc., meaning I'm burning more calories. Thus, I can get away with eating more. On an average day, I take about 4,000 steps when I'm working at my office job. Now, this is quite high for an office job, I'll admit, but my particular job, I often walk to other offices around the building to go check up on things, and this also includes any other exercise I may do after work hours. However, on the day where I work at my supermarket job, I usually take at least 10,000 steps, which seems to be the target for a lot of people. Not bad, hey? Getting paid and getting in some exercise? You can't complain about that. Not only that, but the constant movement of your body is good for your fascia. Without getting too into it, if you don't move certain joints/muscles, they can tighten up and freeze up, restricting mobility and causing pain when performing certain everyday movements. I have another channel called Gains of Life, where I'll do a video on that if you're interested. Link is in the description. Essentially, movement is like a cobweb duster. If you move, you dust the cobwebs, meaning everything will be clean again. If you don't follow, don't worry. All you need to know is movement is key. Movement also gets blood flow moving, which is the life force of the body. Movement also helps rid the body of waste by stimulating your lymphatic system. Your circulatory system has your heart, pumping nutrients to your body. The lymphatic system is basically the body's sewage system. It removes fluids that leak out of the blood vessels, but this system doesn't have a pump like the heart. It relies on muscle contractions, aka movement, to clear the body. Now, I've been talking nothing but high praise for working a second job, but I'm an unbiased man. So now we'll delve into the cons of working a second job. First con, as you can imagine, is the lack of free time. Obviously, the more time spent at work, the less free time you have. A way to circumnavigate this is to enjoy your other job. For me, I do enjoy both jobs. They both have their bad days, of course, but for the most part, they're enjoyable. But for me, any friends I tend to see tend to be at night, as most of them work during the day. So this isn't really an issue for me. I'll do the occasional night shift, but for the most part, my working hours are while the sun is up. Second con is it can be rather taxing, because you're earning more, meaning your total taxable income will be higher come end of financial year when you lodge your tax return, meaning you pay more tax. Yeah, accountants really aren't that funny, are we? So it's taxing in the sense you become exhausted. Most people can barely handle a full-time job, let alone a 6 or 7 day work week. And my work days aren't just 3-hour or 5-hour shifts either. They're full 8.5 to 9-hour days at least. A lot of people can't handle this, so they burn out and drop their hours. You just feel like you want to sleep all the time, and your performance at both jobs may suffer if you're tired as a result of the other job. But fortunately, the short-term fatigue tends to dissipate as you stick with it. The longer you stick with it, the easier it becomes. Obviously, you will need a day off here and there, but it's not like you won't be able to handle it for weeks at a time. My longest working day streak was 46 days in a row. Yep, 46 days of 5:50 to 6:50 am wake-ups, working 8.5 to 9 hours each day, including some study and gym sessions each night too. I felt really burnt out around day 35 to 36, but I managed my gym load and made sure I was getting in my vitamin E via wheat germ oil. Vitamin E is good for your immune system. Vitamin E is one of the vitamins and minerals you need to be deliberate about in your diet. To hold out until a day off I had planned in advance. Until a day where I had put in annual leave at my supermarket job. Thank money. Yep, thank money. Not thank God. You have your thing you worship and I have mine. But anyway, I found that if you manage to last 3 to 4 weeks doing this, you'll be able to do it continually. It's like anything in life really. The more you do it and the longer you stick with it, the easier it becomes. Third con is seeing people you don't like more often. I guess if at one of your jobs you work with a heap of people you don't like, then obviously working more means you see them more. I haven't considered this since at both of my jobs, the vast majority of my co-workers are fantastic. Obviously, there's some less favourable staff here and there, but I must address it as sticking with another job means you'll see them more often, whether they be good or bad. Fourth con is it can get repetitive, but this is more so if both of your jobs are very similar. Example, if both jobs are supermarket jobs, or if both jobs are fast food jobs. But this doesn't really apply to me as both jobs are quite different from each other. With all that said, in my opinion, the pros far outweigh the cons, especially the whole money thing. If you're fortunate enough to be able to hold 2 jobs in this economy, I recommend to suck it up. There are easily thousands out there who would love the opportunity to be able to work 2 jobs. Plus, it's not even the extra money you make per hour at the other job. It's what you do with that money. Investing it in stocks, crypto, a business, yourself, etc. That's the way I see it. That is all.